Uncle Duke has seen just about everything that there is to see there, little missy. Has been around the world dozens of times and has stared death right in the face.
What does it look like?
What?
What does death look like?
I don't know. What? Kind of hard to explain. You two young men understand anyway.
I understand.
Oh, you do? Do you?
I know what death looks like.
Oh, that's good, that's good. What's it look like, huh?
It looks something like
Hi, rotters! Welcome to the podcast that takes a deep dive into the best worst horror films of the 80s and 90s. I'm Stevie, your VHS veteran. This week's episode is sponsored by Bruce Easton, who is our first supporter over on Patreon. That's right, we've got Patreon now. You can be a supporter too if you so fancy by heading on over to patreon.com/Stevie's Brainrot to sponsor an episode and also get some other goodies. Okay, so I've had a lot of requests to cover Troll 2, which is famously regarded the best worst horror film of all time. And I'll definitely be doing that, but I couldn't bypass the first one because I love it so much. Not that it has any actual connection to the second one. So we're doing the first one to start off with. And this week I'm joined by one of the sparkiest, wittiest, warmest people I've ever known. And he's also an absolute pandemic legend. Please welcome Joe Tracini. Hello.
Hello, mate. Hello, mate.
You all right?
How are you? Yeah, good. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Happy pandemic.
Thanks, mate. This is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's the new normal, and I sometimes worry about saying happy pandemic on the beginning of the podcast because I think it might date it in the future. But then, to be honest, the way it's going, this might be the opposite.
I think it's quite good to have a time frame on it to give a frame of reference for the rest of time. I think it's good that you do stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've stopped saying happy birthday to people though. I just say birthday, and then just in case, because if they're not having a happy one, I don't want to make them worse.
Just literally birthday.
Yeah, birthday. See you later.
I love it. I have to say, mate, before we get into what we're going to be talking about. It has to be talked about. The videos that you put out throughout last year were not only just unadulterated joy to me, but they brought a smile to so many people across the nation. For those of you who haven't seen them, basically Joe put out these videos of him doing dance routines and tutorials where he's in a leotard and the dance moves have all these ridiculous, hilarious names. Like a few of my favourites are Hand Spasm, Irredeemable Sheepdog, and my absolute favourite is definitely Delicate Flannel.
Delicate Flannel, is that one of your favourites?
Yeah.
Get in. I like that. There's always there was a few sort of over the time that I was always I was like, that'll go down well. But like my baby is an ugly man. That was one of my favourites, but nobody noticed it.
No, I don't think I picked up on that.
But thank you, mate. I'm glad you. And
it went viral though, and Strictly picked up on it, and you had a segment for them, and during what is easily the worst and toughest time for so many of us ever, you were and are truly a light in a seemingly endless dark tunnel, so really thank you from me for that.
Oh mate, thank you very much. That's a lovely thing to say.
Where did it come from?
The dancing.
Yeah.
So I met my girlfriend last Christmas. Sort of, we did panto together, and we got together in February, and middle of March, we went up to visit her family for the first time. Well, obviously, she's met them before, I hadn't. But I went to see them and stayed with them in Hull for a couple of days. And then we saw on Instagram, a bloke teaching dance, really sincerely. He just did a little introduction, and then he did a dance in his front room, and then he taught it. And I thought, sod it, we could do that. Yeah. So I went in her loft, and she had a leotard in there. So I put the leotard on, and I sort of went out to the garden. We did one. And literally, as soon as I finished it, her mum, Sue, came out and she said, the country's locking down. Shit, and I was there in a leotard, the Split Soul Jazz. I'd only met her 2 days ago. and I was there for 4 months, and they were amazing, Stevie. The way that they, I mean, because I've sort of growing up, that sort of like family time was rare and just not really a thing for us. So it was the first time I spent more time with her family than I have with mine. And they were so constantly be indebted to them for the way that they looked after me and didn't ask any questions, because I kept doing that. And then when I started talking about, that's the other thing, is I was doing all those dances, in between which I'd be going on Lorraine thinking about killing myself. So this family, who never once, still to this day, have never had a chat with me about that, but I was meeting them for like the in-laws for the first time, and I just was doing that with their garden, and then, you know, putting them on edge because they were worried that they had a risk upstairs. But I was just so grateful to be able to be with them, you know, and I'm glad you liked it.
Amazing support. Oh, it's absolute joy. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't seen them, just go. And it's probably the best time because you can watch them all back to back. It's fucking brilliant. I love it.
Mate.
But talking about escapism and distraction, horror films. So obviously I'm obsessed and have been since I was a kid. It's particularly the bad ones.
I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that about you.
Really?
No. I didn't know that was your. Has it always been a hobby since you were little?
Yeah. This is that's what this whole podcast is. It's going through the 80s schlocky, trashy horrors that I grew up on. You know, before CGI, when it was practical effect, the true, you know, really bad films. I mean, we'll talk about one of them, but there's something so nostalgic and warming about them to me that I want to kind of exhume them and show them to people who would never ever get the chance to see them, and just go, look what we used to make.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I won't talk too much about it now, but that's something that I really thought about, that what you say about the effects and stuff. It makes such a difference, doesn't it, to watch a film that, because you can just feel the artistry that's in it. Not knocking CGI, bloody hell, but I just think it makes it so different. It's like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love that. I love that purely because you just knowing the fact that whatever they're doing, they did for real.
Yeah, it's tangible. It's actually there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just have such a... Because I used to be a magician as well, so on that level, I absolutely love watching things that aren't necessarily... that haven't been put there to trick you, but just to know the amount of care that has gone into that one moment.
Exactly.
There's a thing in Terminator. There's a shot where he's in the mirror and he's getting his head screwed on and it's taken off. Yeah. And it looks like CGI, of course it does. But they did it for real with a body double. So what you're looking at is sort of like a body double here, and you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger in the mirror, and it's meant to... it looks amazing, and you would just never know that was... You'd think it was just in a mirror, but it took weeks and weeks and weeks to get that one shot, and you're like, that was totally pointless. But knowing it, you're like, yes, that's that is astonishing to me. So that is one really good thing that I like about old films.
I suppose with that, like, it's because of what we do have nowadays. If you've used something like that now, you just throw it away, and it's just like, oh, quick 4-second shot. And as you say, it took weeks, and the care, effort, and graft that goes into those things. And also in the 80s, when this film that we're going to talk about is around, it was a time when special effects artists, they were rock stars, they were the stars, and so you had this lineup of them all, like Stan Winston and Tom Savini, all these people that designed and created all these creatures from your youth, and they were the true heroes. Well, they were definitely my heroes growing up, and that's what I wanted to do eventually. I wanted to do special effects.
Really?
Yeah, that was the plan. And then as soon as I popped on a tap shoe, you know, then it all changed. But with horror in general, do you watch them? Do you like them? Do they scare you?
I think they do scare me. They don't. I don't know. I've never been. I'm not a movie buff, really. I've always, because I get distracted so bloody easily, Stevie. So I struggle to watch films and reading because my mind will just drift away. I watch documentaries more than anything, but I think it's as I get older, the more films that I watch and see, the more I enjoy them. And I think horror, I mean, it depends who you're with as well, because like Holly, my girlfriend, can't stand horror films, and like, so they don't go on, and I'm up for that. It doesn't bother me. But I think that I love the idea of horror because I think it makes you feel something more than a lot. of other genres. Do you know what I mean? You
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely. Like, I love Wes Craven and and Stephen King and all that sort of thing. I absolutely love that because again, it's the stories that I think are incredible. I think, yeah, like the idea of, do you know Andy Nyman?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, I like Andy's work, the ghost stories.
Oh my god! This is for anyone. Andy Nyman. He with Jeremy Dyson, they created Ghost Stories, which was a show, which was four. I think it was 4 short ghost stories on stage live, which was terrifying. And then they all come together in the end, and it was something else. They made a film of it a handful of years ago as well. Yeah,
and which I thought even the film was amazing. The film was amazing, and I thought they did it really, really well. But I think that experience of being live in a theatre and feeling that was just incredible because the amount that they managed to do. But I think also because you could see the amount of care that came from Andy and Jeremy in that they were respecting the art form of what you're doing, that horror, that old school horror, what we were saying, really, really making the effects happen. I think that, and I can imagine that, how I feel about watching ghost stories is probably how you feel watching horror movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's more the medium that I understand. But when I do come across these films for whatever reason, I do bloody enjoy them.
Yeah, and you're right, because it forces and elicits an emotion from you, whether that's fear or laughter or disgust, there's not many things that do that.
Absolutely not. Certainly not anymore.
No, absolutely not. Well, yeah, totally. But this, the film we're going to talk about, we start getting into it, I guess, it's an interesting one because, it's not in any way scary. And a lot of the films that I love from the 80s aren't scary. They're just trashy. So, but this film, just watching it, it's Troll from 1986, obviously. Watching it now, I hadn't seen it in probably 25 years. It blew my mind, but it was so... I was worried at one point, like maybe I'd ingested window cleaner or something and was having an hallucination before I ceased to be. It was so bizarre. What are your broad thoughts on Troll?
So obviously I went into it blind. I'd never heard of it. I knew nothing about it. And I honestly, I've watched it 3 times now, right? Because the first time you said watch it, just take some notes or something. So I watched it the first time, and after 5-10 minutes, I was like, right, it's pointless trying to make notes. I've just got to watch this film. Yeah. So I watched it till the end, and then I did it again a second time, and I made notes at about halfway through, and I was like, hang on, I've got to watch this again. So on the third time today, that's why I called you last night when I was halfway through the second watch. I was like, I've got to push him later tomorrow. I've got to ask him to do that just because I knew I'd have to get up again and watch it again just so I could try and get a grasp on what was going on because I was enjoying it so much, but I couldn't multitask. Yeah. So I think that I still don't know what went on, but and I'm not going to lie, I've not read through my notes either, Stevie. So as we go through talking about the film, I haven't got a clue what past me paid attention to, so I'm quite excited to go through it with you.
Me too. It is bizarre. We will get into it, but originally the treatment for it. It was going to be a slasher, a proper slasher, where this monster picked off inhabitants of an apartment block in really grisly ways. But then the producer wanted it to be more PG-13, so he went down more fantastical and mystical route. And Empire Pictures, who made it, they had this massive hit in 1984 with a film called Ghoulies, which is one of my favourites, which is about these imp-like creatures on this killing spree. And so they wanted to kind of keep riding on Ghoulies' coattails and putting out another creature feature. Talking about Ghoulies, there's a nod to Ghoulies in the film. That the character Miss St. Clair? Yes. She's got this portrait that we see quite a few times, and in the background of the portrait, you can see this little green imp just behind her, and that is basically the main goblin from the Ghoulies franchise.
From Ghoulies.
So they're referencing themselves, the production, which is nice. So you got that, but also in 1984, we had The Neverending Story come out. Yeah. And that was such a huge hit that they wanted to create.
Is that the Disney dinosaur one?
No, The Neverending Story. It's a fantastical one. Atreyu. Does that ring any bells?
No, I've not seen it.
Right. So, well, the boy who plays the boy in Troll was the main boy from Neverending Story. So they really were trying to suck that fantasy dick. That's not what I meant to say. I didn't know where my mouth was going then.
The fantasy dick. If you cut that out, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm not going to. I'm really not good at editing.
Good.
That's not what... Well, I know what I mean. But they really wanted to suck some of that fantasy out of
Yeah.
that. Oh my god, thank you. Yeah. The production, they'd acquired this massive, huge 5-soundstage filming lot in Rome. This is where this was filmed, in Rome. So they were churning
really?
loads of films out and just basically saying yes to any treatment that came that way. And so Troll was born.
Bloody hell.
Troll, I'm very interested to see how you've possibly made a synopsis, but can I have
Yes,
your
you can.
attempt?
Okay. Harry Potter and his family move into some sort of hotel, apartment, dirty theme park attraction. When the youngest daughter is taken over by a troll that looks like a hemorrhoid with lips, the Potter family remains severely unaware that their daughter has been usurped by a dirty troll for the first hour and 4 minutes of the movie, until the audience is supplied with some vaguely discerning plot, at which point they tried to stop the troll from doing something with the help of Elaine from Seinfeld.
Oh my god. I mean, we should probably address straight away the fact that there's not one, but there are 2 people called Harry Potter in this film.
Harry Potter and Harry Potter Jr.
Yes.
Isn't that
And
ridiculous?
Apparently, the production company thought about trying to sue J.K. Rowling because it's a boy called Harry Potter surrounded by witches and goblins and stuff. And her response was, that is ridiculous. I've never even heard of the film, let alone seen it.
Amazing. But that took, and there were a few times throughout the movie where I'd look at it and go, hang on, did that just happen? Sorry, I've got to push it back. And every time they said Harry Potter, I did go back and go, they can't be. It was only when they said Harry Potter Jr. for the first time, I was like, yeah, I'm done. There's levels to this that I wasn't aware of.
Oh my god! So we meet the Potter family, as you say, and they're moving into this apartment block. In San Francisco. I mean, it's Rome disguised, very gently disguised as San Francisco.
I didn't realise it was shot in Rome. That's amazing.
Yeah, but there's this opening scene. I mean, it starts you off in quite a way. There's so much dubbing. I mean, hardly anyone's mouth is moving, but there's a 4-person conversation happening.
Absolutely, but it's so painfully obvious that nobody's talking to anybody. There's no mix or anything. They've literally just gone, don't worry about it. It could be anybody else. And what's really, really weird is it doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to them every time they speak. As a group, and it's so you're just like, I can't listen to a word that I'm saying. Why is this happening? There is no need to be doing this.
But it's not, as you say, it's not even disguised, is it? Because
No.
the person whose voice they're using, they could have used someone in the background of that shot, but no, it's the person forefront with their lips closed.
Yeah, absolutely pointless, And I just, I never ever sort of got tired of watching them lot not talk to each other.
But isn't that something so joyous and enjoyable? It's that sort of stuff that makes me, honestly, my heart fills and just go, oh God, look at the way you tried to put this movie together.
It's so endearing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And genuine. As so given it is such an old film as well, you're just like, because nobody would ever get that sort of thing made nowadays. They'd either not make the film or they'd sort that out. And I think that there's something so charming about it.
I want to say it's the producer. It might be the special effects guy. I can't remember. But one of them has got a tattoo. I think it's the special effects supervisor. A tattoo that says on his arm that says "We'll fix it in editing," which I just think this sums up this entire film so much. So the girl Wendy, who's our main girl, she's playing with a ball, but she decides she wants to play with it in the laundry room in the basement.
Yeah, that's what she does. She just goes down to the basement. Absolutely. It's quite a big ball as well, I thought.
Yeah, it's not a bouncy ball, it's not a beach ball, it's in between, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we meet the troll straight away, it's there, and he snatches her, and basically the troll transforms into the girl using his green crystal ring. And actually this, when I was watching the making of, it looks so easy, and it's so easy for us to bypass this little trick. So we see the troll, and then there's a green flash around him, and then it's the girl. And this wasn't easy to do, so they had to literally chain the camera to the floor and put sandbags down so that they could do this reframing. And no one was allowed to walk on set while they were doing this because the slightest movement wouldn't match up. And so it was really you know, the way we think if you just do that digitally now, it was a proper...
So what did they do by fastening the camera to the floor? What was the actual move that did, you know?
So it couldn't even move a millimetre, so that when they then put the girl in, they can reframe it exactly, and it wouldn't be any... So it's absolutely seamless. Apparently it was, you know, it was a proper industrial trick it took to do that.
Yeah.
So we meet... What do you think of the troll then? So we meet him.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I like him a lot. He looks like me when I was on drugs. And like properly hanging around in basements. I thought he like straight away he gets very aggressive with the ball. It was like he was masturbating into the ball.
You're right.
There is a shot where he's sort of near the wall and you see it in a shadow, and it just was a bit suggestive, and I quite enjoyed that. But again, like, what I quite liked is there was no explanation at all as to why there was a troll down there, or even where they were in the first place. I did not pick that up. They might have said it, but I was just being too aware of the fact they were lip syncing to themselves. So it got me, because again, his costume is amazing. The work that they've done on that troll is phenomenal.
Originally, it was going to be completely animatronic. They were going to have an animatronic troll, but then they decided to give it more life by having a human inside it. And John, the director, he really wanted the guy. His name, the actor is Phil Fondacaro, who plays Malcolm. He's a little person actor. Yeah, and so he was playing one of the inhabitants of the apartment block, and the director wanted him to also play the troll. It's the same person.
It is the same guy. It is the same guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Fantastic.
the troll and Malcolm, who's the little person.
Yeah, same guy.
It's the same guy, but originally wasn't meant to be. And so the director John, he was also the special effects creator, so he did the effects and directed it. And so he really wanted John to play both parts. Phil, sorry, he wanted Phil to play both parts, and so he built the cast of the troll around the actor so that no one else could then possibly get the part because it was fit for him.
Bloody great.
I don't think it was very comfortable. Apparently the back of the head was like a corset, so it had all these strings that you had to pull tight, because if you notice, it's quite clever the way the eyes of the troll are really sunken back, and so they had to line it up and blend it perfectly. It's very...
but I could... bloody claustrophobic being in that, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, of course. Especially in the 80s, the things people had to go through for prosthetics and stuff like that.
Oh my God, I can imagine the hours and hours and hours. Christ.
Yeah. I mean, it kicks off straight away. I like that about it. As you say, there's no explanation or talk about what the fuck is going on and why there's a troll in the laundry room, and why is it confined to the laundry room? Has it been waiting? Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's never answered.
No, but what I quite like is how the family kind of accept the fact that their daughter is acting like a dog almost immediately. They're not.
Right.
They're not fussed. Nobody's going, whoa, we need to sort her out.
Yeah, because they're having a meal. They all sit down for burgers, and the dad calls them rat burgers, which I guess means, like, you know, street meat or scum in a bun. And the girl, she starts going rat burgers.
Really picks it up. It's like a catchphrase for her, isn't it?
Yes.
Nice to see ya.
Rat burgers.
Rat burgers. Mental. Absolutely mental.
She's running around, as you say, barking rat burgers like a dog. And the parents they don't really address it. They're just maybe
just go,
this is normal.
This is fine.
And the fire alarm goes off, which is a lovely device so that we can meet all of the inhabitants, right?
Yes. Could I just say about the fire alarm?
Yes.
When that got to a point, this is the first time I've ever realised the context of the phrase "false alarm." That sounds absolutely mental. There is a little bit where one of the where somebody comes down the stairs as they're panicking about the alarm, and he goes, "It's a false alarm." And I've just never ever heard the phrase "false alarm" used in context as an alarm. I've just thought, "Oh, false alarm." I thought it's not. I've never actually heard a wrong alarm and thought that's a false alarm. I understand that this might not be the most amazing fact that you found, but honestly, it took me a couple of minutes going, "Oh my God, that's why."
No, I know what you mean. Not with that, but with there's certain phrases that one day just click that you've heard all your life or you've used for 30 years, and then you just go, "Oh my God, I just got that."
Yeah.
So I'm really really happy and almost honoured that I introduced you to Troll, which introduced you to the origins of the saying false
Of
alarm.
that moment, honestly. And could you see how genuinely excited I was when we got to the alarm bit? Because I was like, oh no, I've got it here. It's a false alarm. Yeah, I've just written down, for the first time, I really understood the context of that saying.
I'm so glad. See, it's educational, this film.
Absolutely.
And we're like in scene 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh god, yeah. No, but it's not too long either. It's not too long.
No, under 90 minutes, can't go wrong.
And I think that's an amazing thing.
Well, I mean, you watched it 3 times.
Absolutely. Yeah, see, it still took a weekend, but still, it was worth it.
But yeah, so we now meet all the inhabitants, and I mean, this cast, as you say, you've got Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld, but I know her from Veep, which is one of my favourite comedy series ever. Sonny Bono.
Now, this is something really weird. Is I keep missing the Sonny Bono bit. Which one is Sonny Bono? Who's Sonny?
Right. So Sonny Bono is Peter, who lives on the top floor, and he's the ladies' man.
What you mean? Hang on, I've got. I love Peter Dickinson.
Yeah, Peter Dickinson.
That's Sonny Bono
of Sonny and Cher fame.
That's amazing. So Pete, his whole opening bit, because there's that little bit where everybody just keeps falling over.
It's slapstick moment, yeah.
Everybody, there's no reason for it. There's the amount of people that fall over in such a short space of time. Some falling over, nothing at all.
Yeah, whilst the alarm's going and the girls running around going, rat bag us, rat bag.
Absolutely. But there is a line, like sort of Peter Dickinson's first line that he had. It took me a couple of listens. It was one of those I had to go backwards. And he says that it's like a Plenty of Fish biography that he comes out with, but it's really uncomfortable. Okay. He says that he's a single, unattached male that's into swinging and children having pillow fights at all hours of the night while he's trying to get a score, may cause a few strikeouts. Now, what? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it because he was saying that he's into swinging and children having pillow fights. On my third listen, I realised that he's being sarcastic because he's having a go at the bloke for his kids running around upstairs.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So the first bit he is into, and the sarcasm is, and also, kids running around and having pillow fights. Okay, but it wasn't relayed that way.
A 0% sarcastic inflection. He literally just said it as if it was a fact. I can't believe that was Sonny Bono. He does really well. He's really creepy.
Yeah, it's like very sort of pervy. Apparently, I think they only had him for one day as well, so he had to do all of his bits in one day. So, but
blimey.
I mean, lovely little cameo there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also meet Miss St. Clair, who's played by June Lockhart. Now, June Lockhart, she was a TV legend, and she was in like Lassie and Lost in Space and stuff. And she's very Maggie Smith. She gives me that Maggie Smith sort of actress. She's a very mysterious, slightly older lady.
Yeah. And that's what I like about, again, what's amazing about the film, and I think that's that kind of film, is how utterly committed everybody in it is.
Yes. Do
you know what I mean? There is not... nowadays, when you get the like Sharknado and stuff like that, you can see they're not... No one's taking it serious. It's just like... It is a joke. But they buy into it so much... that there's not... It makes it so much funnier as anything ever does, comedy-wise. You know, I think it's a masterclass in the only person that doesn't know you're being funny is you.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that... do you think that they, in the making of it, is it tongue-in-cheek from their end? Do you think they know that it's funny? Or what do you think it goes through their head?
From what I've seen, it wasn't created as a laugh out loud. I think they're playing it earnestly.
Yeah.
And that's where the comedy comes in. Whether that was directed and intended to make a fool out of them, I don't know. I don't think it was. I think everyone plays their part with 100% honesty, and they've done, even Michael Moriarty, who plays Harry Potter Senior, I love saying that.
Amazing. It's amazing.
He's a very serious actor, and he said to the director, I need to, before I play a character, I need to know his music. What is his music? I can't hear his score. And so they worked on that, and I think that's where you get that ridiculous sort of dance scene that lasts.
Oh my god! Oh god! Honestly, I was hypnotic because every time something like that happened, and it happened so many times with the film, I was like that. I've missed something. That's why I kept having to go back. I've never ever found anything that I missed. It's absolutely haunting. That whole thing, it's like he's been taken over by somebody else, but he hasn't.
It's completely separate to the film, and it's, as I say, it's almost the entire song that he's dancing to.
Absolutely.
And his face goes sort of bright red and demonic, and it's
yeah.
wonderful.
No, I thought it was brilliant, and again, like that, it's like Evil Dead as well. I've not seen Evil Dead for years and years and years, but that's that same sort of vibe, isn't it? That comedy horror, but utterly committed to what you're doing. You just don't see films like that anymore. You don't see. I don't know if that, I would imagine it's a commercial sort of thing, or I don't know, but I just think it's an era that I should make more of an effort to engross myself in, because I think that I feel like I learnt stuff from watching it in how to tell a good story through a film. Do you know what I mean? And I've got so much more time for a film like that than something else, you know?
Oh, I'm so glad. It is. I think it is that, and I think it's also that it's a real all hands on deck effort in the 80s with these sort of films where everyone has got a job to do and they want it to be the best, and they're constrained by either budget or time, and it's graft, and the result is just this object of love that everyone's put into it.
Yeah, but what you were saying about that studio in Rome, that if they were just going whatever treatments came up, it's almost like doing it in rep, isn't it? For just making literally what have you got? Let's make it. Let's do it. How amazing to make films for the sake of making films. That's amazing.
Of course, because now it needs to be, to get any budget, you have to be commissioned or write treatment. Then someone else takes your treatment and rewrites it and all this sort of stuff till eventually the seed that it began with is something completely different. But back then, it's just labour of love, and the shoddiness that is there on screen.
It's forgiven. Yeah, it's utterly forgiven, I think, looking at it now. And you can see when, again, I don't know much about these sorts of things, but like the original Jurassic Park and stuff like that.
Right.
There's a reason that stands up, and it's because they just built a massive dinosaur. It's always going to look better, isn't it?
Of course.
And it's interesting, not knowing this sort of world, to go back and look at something like that and see. I see why that director learnt the way to do that, and why those films are still as good as they were when they first came out. And it's because more love went into them at the time.
Totally. You've really encapsulated it there. I think it's bang on. I'm so glad. See, this is why I'm doing this. I love just showing these ridiculous films to people and then having a reaction like that you've just had. That is if that's all I ever get out of this podcast, then I'll die a happy man.
That's lovely. I genuinely really, really did. I wouldn't go back and go, I want to see that again, I want to watch that again. It was just it's just the sort of thing that you think, I think especially at the moment with everything that's going on, that's something that I picked up, was I was like, because we, of course we felt a bit undervalued and stuff, sort of in what we do, me and you do. Yeah. And I think when you look at something like that, we have got a purpose, because I feel something now that I've watched that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's not what I was expecting from watching a film about trolls.
No, exactly. Oh, I'm so glad. Right, so
go on. Where were we? Go on. Keep going.
So we have Wendy visits Wendy / the troll in disguise. Yeah. She visits Sonny Bono, and she starts playing hide and seek, and then he turns back into the troll, and he rubs his ring on Sonny.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew.
Yeah.
Why can't I just grow the fuck up?
But
I just think this is too easy though. If the troll needs to rub its ring on your skin, then
brilliant.
That should be quite a feat and a challenge. But he's never really challenged, and he doesn't have any problems yet. Bear this in mind: this creature is like 3 foot, and it's not very agile. It struggles to move.
Absolutely, yeah. He's like the height of a shin.
Yeah, but he manages to get someone's forearm and hold it long enough to twist his ring on it.
Lovely addition of the word twist there. That was brilliant.
There you go.
Love that.
But yeah, so Sonny Bono, then his face starts pulsating and all this black goose comes out and he turns into like a chrysalis. And then we have a lovely stop motion scene where the chrysalis bursts with all these vines, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the room turns into a magical fairyland with lots of goblins and fairies in the foliage.
It's incredible. I'm just looking. My note here is I've never known a group of people that were not on drugs look like they've taken all of the drugs.
Right, yeah.
Because that whole section, everybody looks off the nut, especially when Sonny starts inflating. That was genuinely quite horrific.
Yeah, that's the only bit I think that is a bit gory and a bit gross. Yeah.
Because what's amazing is that how long they held it on there as well. They had so much confidence in the quality of their effects.
They got their money's worth, yeah.
They literally just go, no, we're not going to cut away. We're just going to let you watch him be like that for a while. I thought it was amazing.
More pulsating, more ooze, yeah. No, it's a lovely moment. And And yet, there's all these other creatures in the foliage. We don't know why.
Yeah.
We don't
No.
really ever find out why. And now this is the bit where this is when I started to really worry about my sanity, because Miss St. Clair, who we met earlier, so we're suddenly in her apartment. She's painting or reading a book, I can't remember, and she has
painting, I think she.
Yeah, painting on her shelf next to her. She has a toadstool that has a face, and it sings and it whimpers. What the fuck?
The whole thing. I mean, I have gone into. Yeah, I didn't understand what the I've called it a cock plant. That's what I call it, because it looks a bit like a penis.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's what a mushroom hat. I've put please don't explain it. So I was hoping the first time I saw that it would never be explained, and it never is.
No.
And I'm just so happy. But there is a point later on where you see that pot plant for the first time with a frame of reference of how big it is, because you only see the only shot of that is just on its own. It's been walking around and it's doing like that.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes later, there's a wider shot. I think she sat at the piano and you see it over her right shoulder, and you know it's literally it's nothing. It's the side of a can. It's really, really small. So I was actually disappointed in the size of the cock mushroom. Yes.
But it does look sizable, but
Yeah. Next time you go back, do look at it and you're like, wow, that is smaller than I thought it was. Again, it's weird stuff that excites me, Stevie, but that was one of them.
But it's bizarre. Why is it there? Who thought of it? I suppose immediately all it's doing is letting us know that Miss St. Clair isn't your average lady. You know, there's something a little bit different about her, because she's got a cock mushroom with a face that sings.
That's it. I thought that I did there's quite a lot of singing throughout the film.
Oh my gosh.
But
mate.
I didn't hear any lyrics at any point. I just there's a choir that pop up sometimes that just sort of cough a bit and then go away.
Yeah.
And then the musical numbers, I really enjoyed that they were there, but I didn't have a clue what they were about.
Yeah, the composer was a bit upset and a bit disappointed about this, because when he wrote, there is this big choral troll song.
It's fantastic.
It really is. He wrote it with the belief and the intention that it was going to be quite dark and serious, and this haunting troll song. And so he wrote the score and these lyrics. Again, as you said, you do not hear them at all. They are lost. But then they didn't have the maneuverability of the puppets to make it very serious, and so they ended up having this troll chorus where they're going gah, 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 over the top of it. And so the composer was really quite upset when he saw it.
So did they not let him know?
I don't think so. I think it was pre-written, and they went down a different route.
Because I really noticed that. I was very, very aware of the fact they weren't singing things. Bloody hell.
Yeah, but even the mushroom takes the soprano line on that one, which doesn't make sense because it's on its own in another room.
Absolutely. Shouldn't know the song. Shouldn't know the song.
No, shouldn't know the song.
You know what I mean?
Oh, so after the mushroom, we've got Wendy, the little girl. She meets a little person.
Yes.
And obviously this isn't Wendy. It's actually the troll disguised as Wendy. So it's fascinated by the little person and, has a kinship and calls him my little elf friend or something.
I believe Brother Elf.
That's it, Brother
Elf. Yeah, that was because I was watching it thinking, okay, and I assume maybe he plays the same thing. But when she just went in straight away at the end of the scene with Brother Elf, I was like, you can't say it.
No, you can't say
it. Can't say it. Couldn't say it then. Can't say it now.
But I think they actually handle the this next bit really well. It's actually very amusing because so she invites Malcolm to dinner. And the parents are eagerly awaiting the arrival of Wendy's quote-unquote little friend. And they keep saying that as well. They keep saying, when's your little friend arriving? We need to get ready for your little friend. And obviously they're expecting a child to show up. I think they handle this well. So the mum's waiting with a glass of chocolate milk for Wendy's little friend. And then obviously he enters holding a bottle of booze, and there's this wonderful moment of them just staring each other out.
It was just it was amazing. It was everything I wanted it to be. Absolutely amazing. Loved that bit. But then that whole meal is like out of nowhere the dad just goes I always wanted to go to the circus. You can't say it. He didn't gesture anywhere. It wasn't at anybody. But we all know why you thought you can't.
Yeah, where we all know the inspiration behind that original thought. Yeah,
absolutely not a thing. Not a thing.
Can't.
Jesus. Can't do it.
I know, but Malcolm then, he recites the story of the Fairy Queen, because Wendy asks him to at the table, and that's when we get the chorus of everything in the entire apartment building is singing this song.
Yeah, choir back, absolutely. It's just, yes. Yeah. Sorry,
And it doesn't make sense. And we get Miss Sinclair, and because everyone is singing, she just says, "It's starting again," and she gets a horn off the wall.
ominous. It's amazing. Yes.
And what's starting again? What, in this building, or for the second time in 2 centuries, the first time ever? What's starting again? So many questions that we don't get answered, which I love.
It absolutely, and again, I think there's genius in that. I think there's genius in them not going, no, let's explain it. That's fine. It was the utter exhaustion on her face was enough for me to don't want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's now. There was a line. There's two. Well, one. What she keeps putting a lampshade on the cock plant, but I've just realised why. She's hiding the face.
Oh, to disguise it from someone coming in.
From other people, do you think?
Right.
Or not?
Yeah,
maybe not.
It must be. Well, I thought maybe it's like a canary to make it sleep, but actually that makes more sense to disguise the magic from any human entering. There
Absolutely. It's when the son came in, my favourite, possibly my favourite line in the film. The son comes in to see her, and he says, "How do you know it's me?" And she said, "Your prepubescent knock."
Yes, that's right.
What happens to a knock when your balls drop? Nothing.
That's right. Yeah. How did you know it's me? I know. Yeah, something like, I know a prepubescent knock anywhere. Something like that.
And again, there's no look anywhere. There's no smile. It was just a fact, and that was beautiful.
Yeah. No irony or anything. Yeah.
No. Amazing. Sorry.
Everything's straight up, and as you say, everything's straight up. Right at this moment, he just goes, "Are you a witch?"
Yeah. First glimpse of a plot. This is 1 hour and 4 minutes in. I made sure I looked. This is the first snatch of a plot that we get.
Yeah. So and she kind of, I say, explains loosely that she used to be a princess in ancient times, and some shit went down when fairies and humans used to live harmoniously. Then there were wars, and the two worlds became enemies. And
now this troll has come here, and he's just going to transform the apartment block into various different fairylands.
Yeah, and she kind of says he needs to convert each apartment into the fairy forest, and then he can take over the world, basically.
Yeah, that universe will then take over the universe it was built in. That's what I took from it.
But where did this come from, this rule? Is it like about the apartments, and why? I mean, is this a medieval prophecy that in hundreds of years there are going to be places called apartment duplexes with several spaces separated by wood, and if you take over each one of these separate spaces, then you could have the world? What is this prophecy?
It's such an oddly specific place. And it would be so easily sorted by okay, it's on a troll burial ground or something.
Right. This is what I was wondering.
Anything, but they give us nothing. And you know what? At the end, I didn't care.
No, totally. The fact that not only is the apartment split into rooms, the prophecy is.
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't feel any less or more connected with the film after I knew what was going on.
No,
I was just like, all right then, okay, good. Let's hope it continues as it is. That'll be enough.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, so he starts drawing her as well, doesn't he? They're in the room, and he starts drawing a little picture of her.
That's
which
right.
I just didn't understand why it came out of nowhere. He's like, "I'll draw you." Don't.
No.
Don't draw. Why are you doing that?
It's quite personal, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He was creepier than Peter Dickinson, and Peter Dickinson said that he loved pillow fights.
Yes. Yeah, it just starts drawing. Yeah, I think that's quite an intrusion, isn't it? It's like taking a very slow photograph. It's quite uncomfortable. Yeah. I was going to say, there's this super touching and moving scene actually now with Malcolm, the little person, and Wendy / the troll.
Yeah.
And so Wendy discovers that, Malcolm's sick, and he tells this story because Wendy's asked him if he's an elf, and he tells this story about when he was young, how he didn't understand what was happening to him, and his mother told him he's not going to grow anymore, and he says in it, he thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if this was happening to me because I was magic, not because I'm sick? And I swear to God,
it's beautiful.
I filled up.
Yeah, I think it's pathos like that is so charming when it's so genuine as well. And I think that it was one of those moments that you don't expect from a film like that. Do you know what I mean? Because also what was really good was that I thought the girl was great. I thought the girl was really, really good because you just sort of, it's like, it was almost like it was from a different film or just like another bit. It didn't seem to have a place that fit with everything else, but that didn't make it feel like it wasn't right there. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
It actually gave it a bit of heart. And I thought they had a moral in there, and it was nicely done.
It was sort of reminiscent of that scene in the Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, where Mr. Tumnus is by the fire and he has that one-on-one. It's just this lovely little moment. But yeah, it's got so much heart, and as you say, it earns so much.
And again, I think that didn't stick out because they played it with the same sincerity that they played all of the over-the-top stuff. Everything was given the same level of commitment.
Yeah.
All the way through, which means you just have to buy into it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a point where you go, it's a bit. Do you know what I mean? It kept hold of you for whatever reason it was. And no, as weird as that bit was, I thought it was lovely, really, really lovely.
Yeah, and it's played so truthfully. And then Miss Sinclair gives Harry Potter Jr. a spear. And now again, this mythology of how to defeat the troll is very confusing. She says something about it needs to drive through the heart of the biggest beast, not the troll.
No, I'm like no, and because I thought, and when she did that, I thought that she was implying like just like in a log or something. You know, like there's quite a cocky tree that has a couple of talks about the door at some point. I thought maybe like a bit of that because I thought it was the world. She keeps stabbing in the world,
right.
But no, turns out no. That's not.
No, it's not quite what it is. Oh yeah, the apartments now are like a TARDIS, aren't they? So when you go inside, there's fields and woodland for miles and miles.
Yeah, we've completely gone over a good 5-minute section where Elaine from Seinfeld turns into
a nymph,
a woodland nymph. Absolutely. Yes. And then every now and then she just pops back up, just hugging the troll.
Yes, I forgot to mention that because again, it's pointless and doesn't mean anything. No. Yeah, that's right. Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, Jeanette or Juliet, I can't remember. She gets turned into because each person in each apartment, something different happens to them. So Bono gets turned into a chrysalis. She gets turned into a sexy sort of nymph that's just springing around, going hee 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 in a sort of. It's
like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory on crack.
Yeah, exactly. Each room. But another touching thing. So Malcolm, after he's told that story, the troll is obviously moved by it, and he turns Malcolm into an actual small elf. So he's surrounded by others like right, yeah. But he's surrounded by others, I guess, like him, which is the whole point. But still,
my God. Again, I didn't second guess anything. And I didn't try and work it out as well. Mm-hmm. You do that with films now. Is that you constantly? I wonder what happens. What about? Didn't. At no point was I anywhere other than that moment in that film.
Yeah. Because, I think you learn very quickly as soon as you start doing that, you're wrong.
Absolutely.
No
yeah. No, there's no point. No, just sit back, enjoy it, and just be pleased something's going on. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're all in this the wider world through the apartment door now, and Miss Sinclair gets turned into a tree stump.
Yeah, that's it. There she is forever now. Yeah.
And I think every now and then you do see her sort of in the background and she drops a one-liner as a tree stump. But of course she turned into a younger version
of herself, which again was really well done. Really, really well done. And also I thought what was really, really clever was the painting that is on the wall that she looks at when she turns. It's just, I thought, a really nice touch of hammering home who she turned into. Because without that painting, it was just old lady turning young lady. But with that painting, you got you just without anybody saying anything, you're like, oh, it's her. I don't know who she is.
And there's some there's a backstory there. We're not going to get told it, but I know there is one. Yeah. The actress June Lockhart, that was her real life daughter who she turned into.
No way. Bloody hell.
So
fantastic. Again, still didn't know where she was going. She's got a spear now and all. Didn't understand.
No, none of that at all. And also Peter Pan Jr. Harry Potter Jr. Might as well.
Not far off, yeah, it'll do.
No, Harry Potter Jr. He finds the real Wendy, and she's in an enchanted glass coffin, and that's when this giant monster, which we hadn't heard of before, that she quickly mentioned. If you see a big monster, the way to stop everything is killing it with this spear. And then, so the big monster is going after the two kids because he's now got the real Wendy, and the troll, the big bad from the film, says, no, not the girl. And so the troll then kills the big monster,
Yeah.
defeats him for us, and that's the end of the film.
And I'm so glad that you've said, because I genuinely still, after 3 goes, thought I must have missed something.
No.
But there's not, because what's also amazing that I really was blown away by, but it's the top of that building where that big monster is. It
Yes.
keeps cutting away back to the crowd and back to the thing, but there's not really any point where the monster like comes out and is massive and he's breaking down. You just see lots of leg.
Yeah, sort of.
It doesn't escalate anywhere for quite a while, and I just felt, I don't know, I was waiting for something I didn't get given. I think it was probably because what I wanted was an answer, and
Well, yeah.
I wasn't provided with one.
And also a slight anticlimax that none of our heroes defeat the big bad. It's the actual troll. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot to mention. There's a point in the prophecy, whatever that is, that the troll will always need a fair haired maiden
Yes.
by his side.
When he gets rid of the all humans are extinct, he just gets to keep one.
Yes. That's right. So that's why he's pissed off the monsters trying to kill the girl.
Yeah.
Still can't get my head around it because you're like, right, so but the troll's still at large.
Yeah, still at large. Can't say it.
But then it doesn't make any sense because finally I can't believe the parents have missed all of this going on.
Not a clue. Dad was clearly lip syncing for a really long time.
Yeah.
And just absolutely, no, they're not joined in to the whole thing, are they?
No, they've missed it all. The noises that must be going throughout this building, and they never pop open the door and go,
No, absolutely not.
But towards the end, they do finally. I think they see the tree stump.
Yes.
That says a one-liner to them, and so they're like, "Right, we're moving." They don't help. They don't realise the peril that the kids have been in.
No, no.
And so they move, and then the very end is a policeman going, "Oh, nothing to see here. Everything's normal. Let me just go and check the laundry. That's like the room we forgot to check." And he goes down, and obviously the troll's there, and it gets its ring out.
That's it.
And that's it. But I don't understand.
No, neither do I. Neither do I.
happening?
Neither does that man. Nobody gets it. The ball just wasn't there again, and nobody knew what it was and why it was.
But I'm so glad it was.
I know. Was there a sequel? Did they make any more?
Right. So this is the thing. So there is Troll 2,
Right.
which is top of my list to cover, but I had to cover the first one first. Because, one goes like that usually, doesn't it? One, then two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Numbers and stuff, yeah.
it is renowned and super, super famous for being the worst, most bizarre film ever created. It has absolutely nothing to do with the first one, no connection. I don't think there are even trolls in it, but it's called Troll 2. And
Right.
there is even a feature-length documentary called Best Worst Movie about the making of Troll 2. It's that big a cult deal.
Oh, God. And have you seen it?
I have, but not for a long time, and I've got it, and I cannot wait to cover it.
Oh, God, that's amazing. That's
But
amazing.
I had to get this one out of the way, and it's not even getting out of the way. I'm so glad I rewatched this, and I'm so glad I got you to watch Troll from 1986.
I'm glad you got me to do it, because you know what? I've not thought about the world in that whole time that we've been talking about that. And
There you go.
Like, that's worth doing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm so
Thank
happy
you
that I've watched it.
so much. Is there any gold that we've skipped over? I mean, it's just a selection of scenes, isn't it, that make no corresponding connection.
Yeah, no, there's like I've got stuff here, but sort of like I was more just like there was a bit where the kid had I thought he had a toaster in the bed, but it wasn't a toaster. He had a telly.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many different little bits that I thought. Like the nutter who had a tiger on the wall.
Oh yeah, of course. This is one of the. I forgot about him, Duke, who's an
Yeah.
ex-marine. Yeah.
Like, just didn't. I didn't. There was no answer to why he had tigers on it. I just thought it was amazing. I really, really did. And then just throughout, I just keep asking myself in my notes, I don't understand what this building is.
You're right.
I don't. Is it a flat? There are no doors locked. That was one thing. These doors do not lock.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Every time someone
Yeah.
wants to go into their apartment, they just open the door. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, there was some, aside from all of those little tiny things, that's, it was joy, an absolute joy. I loved it.
It really was. And recording this with you has been an absolute joy. And the smile is not going to leave my face for quite a while. I'll tell you that, mate.
Thank you for asking me to do it, mate. I've had a really nice time. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Thank you. And will you be giving us any more dancing videos in the future?
Potentially. I mean, it's really irritating because I can't dance, and it takes me about a week to learn 2 counts of 8,
Right.
and so it was all the years that I've spent learning to do what I do. The most successful thing I've done is something that I can't. So it's quite irritating. But at some point, if it's one of those things that I don't like, I never like doing things too much. But I feel like if it came up and I thought that it might be worth doing one, then yeah, I'd do it again. Absolutely, not half.
Well, listen, mate, I think that's all there is to say. I've had the best time. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
asking me to do it, mate. Bye.
Yay! Troll! Rat burgers! I hope you guys had as much fun listening to that as I did recording it. And thank you so much, Joe, you absolute star and legend. It was literally one of the best hours I've had during this entire pandemic. So thank you very, very much for your time. Join us next week when we'll be talking about another terrible film. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email me. The address is steviesbrainrot@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are Stevie's Brainrot, and on Instagram, it's BrainrotPod. Different, but hey, what can you do? Also, as I said at the beginning of the show, you can support us and become a patron of the show. You don't have to, of course, but it does help. I mean, I'm paying to make it with all the subscriptions and stuff like that, but it's no biggie. But if you do fancy supporting us and sponsoring an episode, and you'll also get a limited edition Brainrot vinyl sticker, who doesn't want one of those? There are also some other tiers coming up where we'll be releasing bonus episodes and things like that. But to check that out, just go to patreon.com/Stevie's Brainrot. All right, well, I will see you next week, Rotters. Toodles!